mine.
I know where two. I got two. I got a black and a white one.
I didn't know this was a bring a hat show. So do I?
I took
I
a
don't have anything.
shower, so my hair is a mess. So
Are we live?
Oh, we are live.
Yes.
Yeah.
We've been live for 20 seconds. I didn't realize we hit it. Well,
Sorry.
welcome everyone to the HVAC 2.0 show. We got a little bit of a crew here tonight. How's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Doing good here.
Great.
Well,
Shall we talk about how people's ears are ending up? We all want to hear about Ronnie's.
Yeah.
How far are you away, Ronnie?
From
3.5.
Give me 1 second. I'll give you the exact number. I'm not too far from there. I don't believe. I'm 1 million over last year. They are giving me more leads though. Last
How are
year
you
I
doing,
probably
Reed?
had the least.
How are you doing, Reedy? How's your
I
year?
am 50,000 away from 2 million. I'm doing good.
And how many
How
leads
many
is
leads
that?
is that?
That is 197 leads.
And how
Oh
many
my God.
sales?
127.
127 sales, and you're almost at 2 million.
Yeah.
That's
That's
really,
insane.
that's
Nice.
so good. I'm going to have to come stay with you for a week next.
I look forward to it.
I'm glad Reedy doesn't work where I'm at.
Hey, it's all desperation and the Lord. That's what it is. So
Must be.
And being the guide, not the
Yeah,
hero, right?
that's
I
right.
saw posts I just sent to Ronnie where what we're seeing is a ton of professing Christians who are in danger of cutting themselves off from Christ if they decide to live in pride
Mm.
and enmity towards the people they have been commanded to make disciples.
Oh,
And one of the replies talks about check yourself, Christians. The Jews' rejection of Christ is the only reason you even got an invitation to the party. Be humble.
that's right.
So it's the humility in our process that allows us to responsibly avoid responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really hard for people to understand. They just want to be heroes because they got such low self-esteem.
You got to give that up. It's a sickness.
It doesn't help, does it?
No.
You don't want to go into somebody's house that you never lived in, people you never met, a house you don't understand, and start telling people what to do.
Amen to that.
And I mean, if you're going to do the dog and pony show, do a whole lot of load calcs and diagnostics, and you better have a way of getting the information you need about the people. What's the number? 3.220.
Woo!
467. Oh man, Ronnie, it's going to be close, isn't it? You're at 100
It is
so
going to be
far?
close. Yeah, 98.
Okay. Does that include that 98? Or is that as of the end of last month?
That should include. I don't know for sure. It should include that. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay, so you're not 200 away, you're 300 away.
Yep. 280. 280,000. I've had a really good month. It could happen. If it got really cold, I could see it happening.
Okay.
For the month, I'm at 60%. My close rate is, but
And
trying to catch up with Reedy.
And yeah, the some of the things that you've been doing lately is you've been working on the not giving a bid until they're ready.
Yeah, and sometimes not at all, depending on their ideal specification. 'Cause
Right.
if I can't,
Right.
like I had a job that the guy wanted a bunch of stuff done that I'm not comfortable with our company doing. So
Oh, he was going to do his own ductwork and et cetera, et cetera.
and wanted us to
Move the
reinstall this
HVAC and then I'll
9-year-old
do the
system
ductwork.
and move it. And I told him we weren't doing it.
Right.
I told Rachel about it too, and she said, "Good for you," like, 'cause she was happy that I didn't.
She was happy that you knew how to responsibly avoid responsibility for that kind of a
And
situation.
yeah, because that could have been a bad ordeal.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to get people to pivot in mindset, and that's a challenge that we continuously seem to have. It may not be solvable. There are enough disconnects where the salesperson is not responsible for bad sales and callbacks associated with a bad sale. Tanner had a great sale I witnessed on Saturday. You want to talk about that a little bit, Tanner?
Yep, I can. Which this one, it kind of surprised me because it was a referral lead that started. It was one of those things where someone I had done work for before. They had a problem. Ended up modifying some duct work, solved the problem. The whole standard way thing of someone going, I've had someone install it or someone out. No one can fix it. They just said this is just how it is. Type scenario. And so I got a call, and it was the same type of problem where they're like, "Hey, I've got an addition that is just 8 degrees consistently hotter or colder than the rest of the house. Blah blah blah." And so it started out in a sense of like, okay, this is probably just going to be a duct repair type situation, because odds are they, since it's a referral from these other people, they probably talked. They told them what I did for their house, and they're thinking, oh, I need the same exact thing. So we'll go out there and go through kind of a modified free quote process, because I wasn't there to change equipment. That's not why they had called me. And went in, asked all the questions, and one of the first things that they kind of started responding to is basically, well, the first thing, they were just really appreciative that someone came out in general, because they said they've called multiple people and everyone just doesn't want to come out. They just say, oh, well, that's just how it is, or giving them that type of thing. Or they'll say, yeah, we'll be there, and then they just don't show. And
This is
never
a
talk to them
beautiful
again.
house,
Yeah.
and not huge, but
No.
the master bedroom, bathroom, and closet, a little bit of the kitchen, were part of the addition. So they'd done some remodeling to that sort of area of the house and added on. So, and they did just such a nice. The house was just nice.
Oh yeah, it was.
And so it's a shame that they can't control the comfort in their master bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
And there were 2 crawl spaces. So Tanner went in and checked the ductwork in both crawl spaces. And then he offered them the True Flow and Measure Quick. And it was a 3-ton package unit that was capacity was a little over 2 ton. So it's not really a surprise that, and the static pressure was on the limits.
Yeah, which
and it was single stage. It's a package unit, you know. And
So can I interrupt? I want to ask a question
Okay.
about that True Flow. When you offered it, was the capacity so low because of the static pressure, the refrigerant charge? What was the thing?
Airflow.
Uh-huh.
It was I'm trying to pull it up real quick. They were basically moving about 250. It seemed like I think it's 250 CFM per ton
Oh,
was what it was moving. And so, I mean, I don't know how often that unit's been worked on, but if I had to guess, if it had been worked on before, the charge was probably charged based on that airflow, would be my guess.
mm-hmm.
And which I was pulling up some pictures that I took because the ductwork was just in very bad shape. Here, let me see if I can share a screen, kind of give a sense of what I was.
That may be why they can't get people to come out too. Other people have probably looked at it, and they're probably not
Oh,
comfortable with fixing it.
Yeah, so
no, people had committed to come out and just no showed.
yeah. So let's
That's
see.
an ugly crawl space.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my god,
So-
I hate that powder
Yeah.
dirt.
Oh yeah. So this is the main supply and return going into the unit, and if you look right here, you can see
waterline.
water line. He had his crawl space is still not great. I mean, when I say not great, it's still pretty bad. He has a sump pump, not a sump pump, but basically a disposal pump that he said when it fills up with water so much, he just throws it in there, pumps it out. And after he told me that, and I need, and I seen this, I'm like, okay, this ductwork probably stays full of water every single time it rains. As you could see, the ductwork was not looking too great anyways. It was just kind of ran. However, everything had a massive ton of slack, and if you look way in the back at that one, which I have another clearer picture of it, they just completely droops down. There's the pump he was using to pump it out. Old disconnect, old system.
So Tanner got to the point where he's like, yes, modifying this ductwork is likely to give you some pretty significant improvement, particularly to your back bedroom, because that was afterthought.
Yeah. This is one of the problem runs where it wide off, went through the foundation all the way up to the addition. I mean, that's probably a pretty long run. So obviously, probably not getting a whole lot of airflow to that register. And I think there's a more clear picture. You can also see not insulated, insulation just kind of pulled loose.
They lived in this house over 30 years and they're on their third. Sorry?
Is that closed cell on the floor?
Yep.
That
was the addition.
In the addition. Not
I've
very
never
well
seen
applied.
I've never seen it actually on the bottom of a subfloor before.
That's sort of an odd, in that situation, that's probably the right thing to do, though, without proper drainage. Drainage would
away from it, yeah.
Drainage wouldn't be hard, and there's a driveway, sort of uphill of the house, and if they created a little swale on the high side of the driveway and ran that swale along the driveway, they're kind of on a hill, so it could redirect all the water that right now just comes right across the driveway. So he might not have as much of a water issue if he did that. And even if he didn't,
It's a nice
proper
trap.
pump and or a little bit of drainage from the low side of the house over to where the hill starts to go down again would probably resolve it. I mean, it's very dry there now, and so it gets wet.
Yeah, and remember, folks, always put a P trap on your flex.
That's an air trap, right?
That's an air trap. A backflow preventer.
Oh yeah, can't be having that.
So this system ends up being 12 or 13 years old, as you saw from the pictures. So they know that system is long in the tooth. And Tanner's like, well, I can design a duct system for what you got, but you're still going to have a yard furnace.
Yeah.
You're not going to,
To kind of, I guess to kind of go back for a second, I showed them the 6 functions video and the static pressure video before I went and did all the pictures and all that kind of thing. So I did that first and then come back and it's like, okay, let me show you all the pictures that I found and let me, basically explain your duct system's really bad.
So, and the software you're using to show them the pictures?
Is Company Cam.
Company Cam.
Yeah.
So he's using Company Cam, which is pretty useful because these pictures are, it makes it easier for him to share pictures.
Yeah. Yeah.
So keep going. I'm sorry.
So started out with that. So then and I feel like they were already thinking ductwork anyways. And so I was like, well, we can't. Well, let me go back. They were wanting just kind of like round numbers. And so I just kind of begin it with, well, so we can try to modify a few things and try to get more airflow into the back bedroom. It may work, it may not work. It just depends on what you're more interested in. And I can't remember at what point I asked the question of kind of what was important to them and how did they foresee this playing out. And they were
clearly inclined to replace all the ductwork. He'd been down there and he knew that ductwork. He seemed to be in pain thinking about the ductwork. And he seemed to indicate a bunch of times that he would just like new ductwork.
Yeah. Well, and also I can't remember on when I asked the question and how it come about, but I got them to tell me saying, hey, like basically where we're at and what we want is when you pull out the driveway, we don't have to worry about it anymore. So then I was like, okay, well, if that's the case, we could just tear everything out and go back with all new ductwork because this ductwork seems to be original to the house. This house is about 40 years old, and that sort of thing. And so they were like, okay, that's a good idea. And then I went, okay. Yeah. And then I went, okay, well,
and that was and that was offered at 6,000 to 10,000.
Yeah.
So that got them on the board of, okay, 6,000 to 10,000 is going to be.
That's a really good deal, by the way.
Yeah. And then his question was, okay, so if we do this for this yard furnace, you're going to have to either stay with the yard furnace next time because that's the way this ductwork is going to be designed, or you're going to have to do pretty significant redesign again if you decide to go with a split system. And a split system is really the only way you're going to get the 6 functions.
Yeah.
And so it turns out they really like the 6 functions, I think.
Yeah.
We watched that video and I wasn't in the room. We were out looking at what was under the house when they watched that video. It would have been interesting to be a fly on the wall as they were looking at that video because I think they had a lot of probably discussion.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we showed them that video and kind of the way I kind of worded it and explained it was just okay, like we can definitely do this. We can do just the duct work. But I said, but just so you know, in the 6 functions video, if you wanted some of those good features that he was explaining as far as, variable speed, load matching, all those things, that only comes in the option of a split system. There isn't a package unit that can do those things. And so if we do your duct work now based on this current system, and then you have to replace the unit in a couple of years and you want to get that better equipment, you're going to have to redo the ductwork again. Like we're going to have to make some pretty heavy modifications. And then I was kind of negative reversing it with going, and I know you don't want to be replacing this functioning system, but I just wanted to make that known so that way you don't, get surprised when you want the better equipment, but now you're kind of having to redo something that you've already done.
It's
and then
already
that,
brand new.
yeah,
You know, you're going to have brand new duct, and it's going to be good duct
yeah.
done well. And how do you feel about redoing that new duct when you get your next, or do you want to get sort of the same, not very good system next time?
Yeah. And so then I teed off from, or rather, he then asked the question and goes, okay, well then just, can you give me ballpark rough numbers of what it would look like just to have all new everything? And so then I was kind of on the spot of coming up with some of these numbers. Like the duct number, I was really just kind of spitballing, really. And same thing for this, is I was like, well, where are we kind of, because I kind of gave them some wide ranges. I was like, okay, well, for a basic single stage, all new everything, I was like, we're going to be, all over the 17 to 23,000 range. I can't remember the ranges, but it was like 17, 23,000, 23 to 27, 27 to 35 was kind of the three ranges that we went.
And he was very interested in having an understanding of the increment. So what's the increment from this to this? What's the increment from this to this? And so that he could understand, based on the values that he saw from the 6 functions video, he wanted to be able to understand what each step in that was going to be.
Yeah.
So Tanner put together basically, at the end, he did put together 2 packages, and one had a 5-stage and the other had a green speed.
Yeah. And so he was, first we gave him the free quote, like the Path A report, where it has the smiley faces and stuff, because we were trying to hone in exactly what direction they wanted to go. Because I was like, well, before I do a bunch of work putting these quotes together, see if we can narrow down on which exact one that you really want to price on. And we were kind of narrowing our margins from, at first they weren't really interested in the top of the line. They were just like 2-stage, 5-stage, somewhere in there. And so did the smiley faces, and they were really leaning into the 5-stage at this point. And so I was like, okay, well then let me go. How about, he asked for me to do the top 2 options, 5-stage, green speed, or Evolution Extreme. We went out, did a actual quote on both of them, and then come back and presented it again. And at that one, I also preface, I was like, and just so you know as well, it is close to the end of the year, and they're about to change the equipment over. So there is going to be a price increase at the end of the year, but there's also going to be a change in equipment lines to where what's replacing the 5-stage is probably going to be pretty considerably better. Like we're probably going to get a lot better unit with what's replacing this 5-stage. And
it's
so
going to be much more like the green speed, but it's going to also cost more.
Yeah, it's going to cost more. And then and so then he was like, okay, well now I'm interested in maybe, because since their system's working, they don't have to have it the second. He was interested in getting this updated version. And then I was like, well, also to go even further, if we're interested in the newer 5-stage, well, that's likely going to be about the same price as this current top end option. And we're probably going to be, in terms of performance, about the same, if not this option might be slightly better. And so then that bumped him from the 5-stage to the green speed, just because of that. He wanted to wait and get the new one, but he's like, oh, it's going to cost the same and I can just get the best one right now and not have to worry about it. Well, then let's just do that. And he went from bouncing to, started out just duct work, and then
instead of
maybe
7 to 10 of new duct work, the guy went with 35,000.
Yeah.
And it was a beautiful thing to watch. The wife asked some really good questions too. So they were both quite engaged, and really, really, they were nice people. It was a very pleasant experience.
And also for some of the viewers, if you've came from my Facebook post about the questions on Angi leads, sit tight.
Oh.
We're getting there. We got a little sidetracked.
Yeah, we
We
will
will
talk
get
about
to the Angi leads.
So one of the things is like, how are people even getting leads?
Mm-hmm.
And I think
also
Ronnie's
put some questions in the comments if you have some questions about that. Go ahead and drop them in. When we get to that part, we will start answering some of those. And I do have some things to show and to go from there after we kind of move forward into that.
Yeah. So no questions so far. I wonder who's watching. I guess Jason Trammell's not watching because he would say something. Yeah. So Ronnie, you're sort of disconnected from how marketed leads happen. That's just a big marketing department. And you probably see some ads around town, but
Yeah, basically, I see a lot of billboards, and we have some like commercials they recorded like 3 or 4 years ago. But
okay.
The marketing, there hasn't been like anything new. They changed some of our like I don't know, some of the stuff on our website, stuff like that, like discounts, coupons, stuff like that. But they're trying to revamp the marketing. Like about 6-8 months ago, the lead marketing guy actually left the company he went to work for like a roofing company as a marketing. But you could see a decline in the marketed leads in the last 3 years.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's part of the reason why he left. And his really good friend that was his protection was going to be leaving the company. And I think he knew that. So that was the president of the company. So again, they've been talking about ways of changing marketing more recently, and they need to do something because a lot of the sales we're getting are tech generated sales, whereas there's been an uptick of that versus in the past there was a lot more marketed leads, but it's still not enough to cover the lead volume has went down, and that's not what they obviously want that to go up.
Yeah.
That way the company can grow. Because they were expecting like a 20% increase, and they're not going to get to that number this year overall, not just my branch.
Right. Reedy, do you have any ideas how your marketing works?
No, I don't think we have anything like that. I know she had some commercials she made several years ago, and they're still the same. Most of ours is service technicians.
Radio or TV or both? Or
there's a little bit of radio. There's a little. It's both.
Okay.
I don't watch TV, so I don't know.
Yeah, right.
But I do hear it on the radio from time to time. Most of my leads come from service technicians or someone seeing our truck, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know our
Tanner lives out in the boondocks.
I'm in them still.
Tanner's sort of in the boonies. He's got a great truck for advertising. Gets all kinds of attention, but but hasn't really made the phone ring so much yet.
Does it have your company name on your truck?
Yes.
You got a nice picture of it?
I do.
I took a lot of pictures, so
I know those trucks are getting a lot of clout still. Like,
oh yeah,
people driving down the road, they're like, "Take me for a ride beside the truck."
Yeah, we hauled a trailer with it today. It's amazing. It's really amazing. It's just so easy to maneuver because of that rear wheel steering.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that looks real cool. I didn't know that he got it wrapped like that.
Yeah, the wrap is insane.
That is serious.
Do you have one sort of from the rear as a phone number?
That truck's tax deductible, isn't it?
Yep. And I think I got to ask my accountant, but well, it'll be tax deductible, but it'll also, I'm pretty sure I'll get a tax credit for it as
Right.
well.
7,500.
Yeah. So there's that as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I have any more
looks
pictures
expensive.
offhand. Nah.
That wrap looks like it costs some money.
The wrap was actually a little less than what I anticipated. It was right at $4,000.
I was thinking $4,000.
Like all in all, everything. Which I honestly have no clue as far as what wrap cost. I know the actual to order the vinyl, if you were ordering it, I mean, it would probably be like $2,000 for just that. And so, I mean, I was thinking probably $3,500 for the labor to do it. So it come out at $4,000. I'm like, oh well, that's less than what I thought. So
maybe it was easier to wrap because of all the flat surfaces.
I think so. They said, I mean, those those wheel wells, those just pop off, and that's basically all you have to remove to do it. They said the only tricky part.
The headlights are recessed and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So.
They said the only tricky part was on the like this trim piece, that edge. There was nothing. There was no lip to like wrap it around and tuck it, so they just had to cut it flush. But
yeah,
they said that was about the only thing.
My buddy Ryan works for a welding company. His boss just bought him a Cyber Beast for his work truck.
Oh damn! That's a nice
boss. Wow, you're gonna have a discussion with your boss about that, because
he does like food grade cylinders and stuff, and he has to pick up parts and do all this stuff, and he also works on the guy's rental houses, so he has him. He's hooked him up pretty good. But I thought he was full of crap. He showed me the back of it. It is a Cyber Beast.
Wow. This is at the house, so you can see it's got, some phone number and HVAC and stuff
good.
on the, and then I think I have. See if
the only thing that would have made it look cooler is if that red was green.
I don't know about that.
Yep, Jarbo's green, man.
Jarbo's green. That red needs to be green. That's what you got to tell him.
Have you seen my Exploder?
No.
The way they have it lettered. I'm gonna see if I can show you real quick. If I can, I don't know if I can do it with this background on here.
You look like you're leaning backwards.
I know. There we go. See if I can flip this camera around. Man, this is so hard.
It's an Apple. It's supposed to be easy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Out in the dark.
I'm afraid I'm gonna walk too far away and I'm gonna disconnect from the Wi-Fi.
No.
That's a bright green though.
So this is all the stuff on it.
You got Ted's bicycle rack on the back of that thing.
Yeah, I caused him to crash a couple of times. We didn't know where we were going. We got into some pretty technical stuff, but he's young and
I may have went over the handlebars a time or two.
Yeah. Yeah.
I got Tanner's phone number now.
There you go. He gets lots and lots of junk phone calls.
Yeah.
Well, just
Yeah, that's a really cool work truck.
Just for anybody to know, if you try to spam call me, and I do, and you end up being the unlucky one that I'm able to figure out who exactly it is, you're going to catch a lot of pent-up anger over the course of years from these telemarketers. So be warned.
I wouldn't spam call you.
All the toys.
My neighbors is probably wondering what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Tesla dealership.
Tanner's the drug dealer. They're thinking.
Yeah.
Probably
That's what my
so.
neighbors probably think, all the cars we got.
So, Reedy, before we lose you, tell us about some of the experiences you've been having. You still got high closing?
Oh yeah. Last month I had 12 leads. I sold them all. And it's really funny. I did a free quote.
Is that the first time you've had 100% for a month?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool.
I had 90% before, but never 100.
That's good.
I had a guy that I went to his house and I did the free quote for him. And, I'm going through everything. And I asked him, when do you want this? I said, are you in a rush? No, I'm not in a rush. I said, okay, great. That was before Thanksgiving. And so I told him, I'll give you, I'll send you this stuff, send you this report. It'll probably be, 2 days or something like that. And so I did. I sent it to him. I think it might have made him wait 3 days. And he wasn't settled on what he wanted. I showed him the 6 functions. He wanted as much of that as he could get, but he wanted to pay cash, and he didn't want a lot of, didn't have a lot. He didn't have like $30,000 or anything. He didn't tell me what he had, but I kind of figured he was going to be somewhere between 15 and 20. His son, he reads contracts for a living. And they didn't tell me all that. So, our contract, it's pretty simple. I sent him the free quote and I sent him the bids all at the same time. And he settled on the crossover because he said, I'm old and I'm not getting a 5-stage. I'm not getting a green speed. Besides that, we can't get 5 stages anyways. So,
they're out of them.
Yeah. Yeah. We can barely get green speeds. They're out of those too. We have to go to the Bryant version and they're tight-lipped about that. But this guy chose the crossover. He says, I want to do the crossover, but I need you to come back and give me a hard copy. I said, okay. So I gave him the hard copy of the proposal. He's 5 minutes from our shop, so I didn't care. Sat down there, his son, reading the whole thing. And, he said, I'll call you back in a half hour. I said, okay, great. So he did. He called back in a half hour. He goes, okay, I want you to come by at about 3:30 tomorrow. So I come by at 3:30 tomorrow to pick up the money. He hands me $6,000 in 50s. I said, people are going to think I'm a drug dealer. He goes, well, do you want the sale or not?
Yeah.
So I counted it up, and sure enough, it was all good. It's just, that was really, really weird. The last 3 sales I've done, the last 3 sales that I've made, which I've made 3 this month. I'm at 100% this month too. I've had 3. So the last 4, I've done that. I've sat in there and I've asked them when their goal is, and when they want to get it done, and all this and all that. And I've made them wait, a day or 2 before I sent them anything, because they weren't super rushed. And
yeah,
I don't know if that's,
you got to do it all. We were there for 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
So if you're doing the whole thing, there's a lot, particularly with the ductwork and the.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. But that one was really funny to me because he handed me all that money and he was so matter of fact.
Here you
I
go.
went to one today and I'm not sure what's going to happen. So I guess I've went to 4 and I haven't sold this one. It's a mini split in a metal building. And
Oh,
yeah, she's only got 429 square feet. And she's got foam board insulation on the walls and foam board on the ceiling. And she's going to put R15 in the walls and she's going to put
on top of the
R38.
foam board.
Yeah. And, you
Wow.
know, she said, "What do you think?" I said, I don't think you have a load. I said,
Yeah.
you don't, you need to get a dehumidifier. And she goes, "That's ridiculous." And I said, "Well, we have to run the load." So I showed her the cool calc thing. And it was 2000 BTUs or something like that, doing it the way she was going to do it. And so I said to her, I said, what do you know about mini splits? Nothing. She knows nothing. And I said, what is your plan for dehumidifying? Ventilation? What's all this? I don't know. You tell me. I said, well, I said, I can't really tell you. I said, because I don't know what you want. But I said, I can tell you this. If you want me to put in the mini split you're talking about, it's probably not going to work. And you're probably going to have to get some ventilation dehumidification. And I said, what would you like? She goes, I want you to give me a basic price for a mini split. And then I started looking, and she's got trusses that she wanted duct. She wanted a ducted mini split. And the trusses, you can't cut them because, so I settled on, I told her, I said, this is what I would do because you've got enough insulation. And I said, you can do whatever it is you want to do. But if this was my house, this is what I would do. I'd leave the insulation as is. You've got a low load.
How much was the additional insulation going to cost?
Well, we weren't even doing it. I wasn't even
Oh,
asked.
but she hasn't done it yet, right?
No, she hasn't done it yet.
So she could save some money not doing it.
Right. And that's kind of why I went that way with her, because besides that, I needed some load,
Right.
And so with
this equipment's never going to run long enough to dehumidify, and this new equipment and mini splits don't dehumidify for dinner.
Right.
She needs a CERV2 is what she needs.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's
what she needs.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money, but that's what she needs.
If she leaves the insulation, her load comes up to about 10,000 BTUs if she leaves it as is. So that puts her in line with if she wants to go with 2, she can do 2 6,000s. She could do, if she wants to go with 1, she could do 1 12,000, or a 9.
How warm does she want it to be?
She doesn't. That's the thing. 68 and 76. So I said, you've got to give me something here.
Ductless then? You doing ductless instead of ducted is what you're saying?
I was going to do a mini split ducted at first, but then I found out I couldn't because of the trusses. So
I got it. So you're talking about either two small
2 6s.
ducts.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Like a multi-het, like multi-zone unit.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I told her, I sent her that, and I hope she doesn't take us. I hope she doesn't, because she's, when people tell you they're in charge of building the house and they don't even know how thick their insulation is or what the specs of their windows are, to me, that's just this big red flag. And so when she started acting a little crazy, I said, it was as if she wanted to fight with me. She goes, I don't need the thickness. And I said, okay. I said, so where do you want me to go from here? Well, I don't know. And I said, okay. So I left.
Why does she want it heated and cooled?
Yeah, I mean,
does she have a reason?
She said she's going to use that, and I think it's for her working people because it's a farm.
Oh.
And she said if she thinks people who work on her farm are going to keep the house to 68 and cool it to 76, she's probably crazy. They're going to do that thing to about 75 for heat, and they're going to do it for 68 for cooling, and it's going to create this nightmare of moisture. And so,
so it's better to undersize
it's
it.
Too bad you can't do a ducted one on that place, because you could have put fresh air. And
I know.
okay.
Well, and I left it in there. I left it in there that you need to consider, dehumidification and fresh air strategy. I told her.
How much was the difference in price for a split system?
You mean a ducted mini split?
You could do a ducted system, couldn't you? Or you couldn't do that either.
The way it's built is a problem.
Yeah, right? There's just no room. And
okay.
So the cost difference between the two, the ducted mini split and the 2-zone multi-head, ended up being like $85.
Oh,
and
okay.
It was just that if it wouldn't have been for that truss thing, I would have much rather put in a 9,000 BTU ducted and hide some fresh air to it, at least.
It'd be easy. Oh, yeah, it'd be easy. And then you wouldn't have to worry about humidity issues or nothing.
Right. Because just adding the load to that, from that fresh air, which is a little load, but it would have helped.
Oh, it would have helped big time there. And you would have been bringing in air from outside to dilute whatever's going on in there. So,
right. I truly hope that she
doesn't call you back.
Yeah. maybe me saying okay. Maybe it made her. He doesn't care. You're right. I don't. But we'll see.
I don't know what I want, but after I've used it for a while, I know what I'll call and complain to you about.
Well, we had one lady, and it's so good that I did a comfort consult, and it's so good. It's a $135,000 job that I did a year and a half ago. She's been through 2 summers and a winter, going into the second winter. Well, they only heat the house to 65 degrees, which is dumb.
Wow.
And they don't run the fan like I instructed them, in this thing. They said they wanted better air mixing. Okay, run your fan on continuous low. We've got the fresh air, we've got the filtration, we got the dehumidification, we got it all. New duct, new attic, closed crawl space, green speed is fantastic.
Oh, wow.
And the guy today goes out there and tells her that she said her back bedroom, which is 80 feet away from the unit, she said it was colder than it should have been, is within 2 degrees of everything else.
And no mixing, no continuous mixing. So what do you want?
Right. And that's what I mean.
That fan uses a light bulb worth of energy.
Yeah. Mine cost me $10 last year. I mean,
that's right. You can show her how much it cost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so our guy goes out there and tells her, spray foam your floor in your crawl space. That's not going to do anything. It's
inside the enclosure. Yeah. Why is he talking out his ass?
I asked him, I said, why are you doing that? Because it was cold. I said, we check air temperature. Your job is to check air temperature. I said, my job is to check surface temperatures. You don't even know what mean radiant temperature means. I wasn't mean to him. I just, I said there's a lot.
You're just educating him.
Yeah, and so I told him, don't use your thermal camera to check temperatures. I said, don't do that. It's not a good practice. I said, and I told him check the air temperature, and he went and checked the air temperature. Well, if it doesn't run, it's going to get cold. Right. I mean, that's just a natural thing. I said, why didn't you check the ceiling? I said, where we got R49 insulation up there. Why didn't you check that? I didn't think about that. I told him, I said, well, you need to call her back and tell her we don't spray foam floors. Because, like that floor that Tanner showed on his. Boy, if you don't spray foam all of that floor, it's going to rot the wood. And I just told him, I said, that's going to be on you, not me. Yeah. I mean, she was a design. That was the first time. You remember that? You remember that thing that Nate? I can't remember what it's called. It's Better Built Northwest. That's what it's by. Better Built Northwest, and it's a room by room load calculator with manual deduct design in it. And that was the very first time I used that. And I'll tell you what, that came out right until she added 2 different runs that she didn't tell me about. And then it kind of ruined everything. But I did it that way. And I told her, I said, you're going to have problems. You may have problems if down the road. And sure enough, she has had problems because she hasn't done what she was supposed to do. But I said all that to say that had I not written that stuff down, I'd have a headache right now over a $135,000 job that's completely finished. So I don't know how I got onto that.
Well, and Austin goes out when he goes and sees somebody who he's done a system with. He goes out, he takes the report with him and says, "It's been a year. I've been in 300 houses since I was here." And usually the homeowner doesn't remember what we talked about either. So why don't we go through this again just so that we both remember what we talked about?
Yeah.
And that ends up always getting you instead of like this, you come together like this.
Yeah. Yeah, because the whole process is supposed to be what? Collaborative, relational.
Collaborative, relational.
Yeah. And if you go into it, no, this isn't me. You might be thinking that, but the process, if you stick with the process, you're always going to be able to come together and get to a place because they're going to say, you know what? You're right. You told me that. I was a big idiot. Maybe they won't say that part, but
they might think
you'll still be fine. Yeah. So I got just a bit till I'm at 2 million, and I'm $49,000 away.
Oh, might happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's the ninth. I just need a few more leads and
nice.
Couple cold days.
Yeah.
So Tanner's been advertising on Angi leads.
Well, it was their leads program, not the advertising. Which I guess we can get into that. Part of this was more of just a test, just to kind of show and prove what I already knew.
Or suspected.
Yeah. And also, I guess I kind of thought it would make for some interesting ongoing content, just because, I mean, like the one that me and you went on.
We went on a lead. The guy's like, "Oh, I'll be there after 8 a.m." And so we blew our whole morning because there was nobody at the house.
Oh, boy.
No call,
and he had
no
a
show.
pretty new piece of equipment in the backyard. And was it a 2-stage?
I don't know if it was a 2-stage. I got a picture of the data plate.
Hybrid.
It was a hybrid.
It was a hybrid yard furnace.
Yeah. But
and he didn't have gas to the house.
I don't know what was which now that we've seen that it was a hybrid, my guess is what happened is they sold him the unit. They never hooked up the gas. The unit didn't keep up when it got cold and was wondering what was going on here. And then come to find out, there ain't no telling what really happened. There ain't no telling how he acquired it, who installed it, all the things.
Fell off the back of a truck.
Yeah. Granted, someone that, schedules you to come out and then just does not come to the door, no call, no show, kind of goes to show what kind of person that is anyways. So it's like, I don't care about your problems at this point if this is how you deal with it. But yeah, and that was kind of what I was anticipating this to kind of be like, but which I was kind of waiting to see if maybe some people wanted to ask questions on what that, because I mean, I feel like everyone that has their number on some business page that's online somewhere, you get your phone blown up by these airheaded morons that won't leave you alone. So I could only suspect there would be at least a lot of people that are curious to be, at a minimum, to kind
And
of
the
find out.
software doesn't work all that well. It's really hard to communicate.
It's terrible.
Like,
yeah,
you can't text them unless they text you first.
Travis had a no-show this month too already.
Ugh.
Where he called and confirmed the call and drives out there, and then the guy doesn't show up. It's like,
right, and you have infrastructure that has a process to confirm, so it's sort of unlikely.
He called them, confirmed the call through Service Titan, dispatched to the call. So the guy got a text message that gives him the ETA and everything. You can actually track me driving to your house.
Oh, right.
So all that good stuff. And then the guy's like, I'll be there at this time. He gets there at that time. Actually got there a little early. So he drove around the neighborhood and just kind of looked over the neighborhood. It's something he likes to do. And then pulls back up in front of the house and waits there for him. Knocks on the door, and lo and behold, he's not there.
Of course.
Okay, so this is the one.
Is there a lot?
These are all your leads?
Yes, this has been, this is just a picture, because this does have some of their information, so I don't want to have that. That's why I just took screenshots and blanked those out. Yeah, so far I've had, let's see. What is
this? Is really screwing up your closing rate.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm not even putting these, they're not even being factored in, because literally, actually, while we're doing this, let me count to see exactly how many leads I've had so far. So there's been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's been 8 leads total so far.
Okay, it says 10. You haven't ran the other 2, I guess.
Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
See at the top leads, it says 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I might not have scrolled down far enough. Yeah, I see that. So there's been 10 leads so far. Granted, that isn't a lot of leads, but to kind of go through some of this, first of all, the one that we went out to that was a no call, no show, that's the furthest that any of them has went so far.
Oh, so you still had to pay $87.59 for that lead?
What? Yes. And so the change, I know everyone's probably familiar with Angi leads, like pay per lead type system, which was garbage. That was the one that they had the lawsuit about creating fake leads and charging them, sending the same lead to 10 different contractors and charging everybody $100 a piece type shit. Yeah, that's what that was. And so then then I talked to I will dox the shit out of her because I don't give a shit. But this Lisa Curry, who I've been talking to, she agreed that their service before sucked. She was like, yeah, it wasn't up to par. People had a lot of problems, but we have this new service and it's so much better. Makes all these promises, right? So the deal is you pay a flat subscription and then you just get X amount of leads per month based on what dollar amount of subscription that you're paying for. So mine, I'm getting They won't email exchange you. They only talk on the phone. And so it was like I had to tell her 5 times in a row to send me the email because I want what she's telling me in writing because I wanted to be able to show this. They make it a pain on everything. So essentially, what I have here is just a deal that's I get $400 of leads per month. I pay $280 as a subscription fee for said $400 worth of leads. Granted, if you were actually getting $400 worth of leads, it'd be a really good deal, but it's not because they suck. So if I go back here,
So this is basically a month's worth of leads.
yes,
You got 10 leads,
mm-hmm.
which would be, I don't know, $40 a lead, I guess.
Depend.
400.
Yeah,
if they're good leads, if you got 10 leads where you actually got to sit at the kitchen table.
Yeah. And I have yet to actually go to any person's house and talk to someone in person yet. All 10 of these, for one reason or another, have not led to anything. Because there's a difference in getting a lead, going out, and you just not winning the lead. Like maybe you're not a good fit for them. Like there could be a bunch of reasons why, which is fine. The problem is when you never even make it out there to begin with because of how poor the lead is. So I'm trying to remember. So the first actual lead that I got, I get the lead in, and here's the things that for anyone that was considering it, or maybe you're in the process of starting it, here's what they're going to tell you. They're going to say, it's all on you. The leads are good, blah, blah, blah. You have to call immediately. If they don't answer, call them multiple times a day for several days, send them message. They want you to be prompt, build out your, business page profile, like do all this other stuff. Well, I made sure I did all of that. If the app actually worked right, I would be calling immediately.
Well, making the app actually initiate the phone call is a bit of a challenge. Like it bounces back a bunch of times, and then you have to go into the website and call via the website. And
well,
it's not even working.
Yeah, I got the first lead actually come through, like the notification from the app popped up. I got the text message. So I called it immediately. And the first one was these people, it was for a service call. And they're like, yeah, we know we need to replace the evaporator. And I'm like, okay, well, what makes you know that you need that? Oh, well, we had someone else already look at it. And that's what they found. They just haven't come out and done it yet. So I was like, okay, so what would you like? I said, I can, if you can give me your model numbers, like I can get you a quote on replacing that indoor coil, but I can't give any guarantee that that's going to fix whatever problems that you're having, because until I can verify,
I need to see the unit. So invite me to your house.
Yeah. And so, and they were like, well, we really should probably try to call him back and see if we can actually get him, because he said he bought the part. And so it was just like, it makes no sense of like, okay,
why'd you call me?
Yeah. It's like, why are you putting in a lead if you don't act like, and what it really was is they were looking for basically someone to be on standby if plan A didn't work. They're looking for a plan B option. Now, does Angi leads go, oh, we see that's a problem and we're going to credit you back? No, they don't care about you. They're just like, well, it is what it is. That was the first one. So then the second one, which is kind of funny, I didn't even see the lead come in. It come up through my email, and I'm like, why didn't I get a notification? Oh, let me go open up my app and, find this lead so I can at least call them, send them a message or something, and find out why I didn't get a notification. And this is what I was met with. This is a screenshot of my phone.
Oh, so they're sending leads. Okay. So they didn't send it because the system was down. That's why.
They still send you the lead. They still charge you, and they still will expect you to call the lead immediately.
Yeah.
But they're going to shut their app down in the middle of it. Then they're not going to like warn you about it. Everyone that uses software that's in a business, everyone knows the software will say, hey, in 2 weeks, we're going to do this. We're going to do it on Sunday at 2:00 in the morning.
And they warn you 1 week away, and then they warn you 3
Yeah.
days away, and 2 days away,
Yeah.
and 1 day away. They warn you.
Yes.
They don't just say, "Oh, we're down for system maintenance."
So what does Angi Leads do? They shut their app down on a Tuesday from like 6 in the morning to like 4 in the afternoon.
Without letting you know, oh, by the way, we're going to be down, so you should check your email.
Yes.
Regular.
So that's also what you can expect. Yeah. And and of course, I contact Miss Lisa Curry here, who essentially all she kind of does is say, "Oh, I completely understand. I looked at your, stuff and it makes a lot of sense." And, babbles about like, "Oh, this isn't your fault. It's just, it's not our fault either, but it's not your fault, but we're not going to do anything. Give it a few more. Sometimes these happen." And it's like, I get sometimes the leads aren't great. Like, it happens with everyone. Any lead service at all, any marketing, it's just how it is. Granted, when it happens,
It was only the
100%
second one, so you're going to give it some more.
Exactly. So it's like it's only the second one. But so then this rinse and repeats multiple times throughout so far 10 leads. There's been one where there's been two that you call and someone answers and you say
It's a wrong
who you
phone
are.
number.
Yeah, and it's a wrong phone number.
It was a wrong phone. Like, oh no, that's not me.
Yeah. So that's happened twice. There's been 3 that just don't answer the phone at all. They don't answer, they don't call back, they don't respond to text. And I'm not saying that I got the lead and I called one time and I sent one text and I never got a response. I mean, I called 3 times a day for 3 days.
Call or text me back so I don't have to keep calling you if you don't need me anymore.
Yeah, like this is calling multiple times.
And
no
they don't
answer,
bother
no
calling
nothing.
back or anything. So these really could be made up leads, just like they were doing before.
Oh yeah, very well possible. I had one where it was put in for an AC service, and in the notes it said it's for 2 portable dehumidifiers. Granted, but they put the lead as an AC service. I call and he's like, "Yes, these portable dehumidifiers. Can you work on them? Blah blah blah." And I was still even going to go out just to see what would happen, to see what I could do with it. And in the phone call, he's like, "Yeah, after I turned it in and I got to thinking about it, I'm probably just going to throw them away and buy new ones anyways." So it's like, you put the lead in,
old or whatever, right?
Yeah, you put the lead in and you think about it for 20 minutes and you changed your mind. And it also in the notes it said it was 4 dehumidifiers, but they still sent the lead as an AC service lead. So it's like, okay, again, you've screwed that up. There was one, this one right here that says it's in Dawson, Alabama. Another thing they said is your range. Like you only want to stay within a certain range. You tell them what range you want to be in. Well, I told them I don't want to go outside of 15 miles. And I think we ended up having to bump it to 20, but it was like 20 miles max was the furthest radius I want to travel of what I'm willing to. And of course, I get one lead where this was the distance away. So
41 miles, double
41 miles away. Double the radius that we had agreed on.
These really reliable leads I want to drive an hour away.
Yeah.
And it's really reliable leads.
Yeah. And now not just that. That's bad enough, but let me throw some icing on the cake with this. When I talked to this person, it was for a duct cleaning, and they were like, "Yeah, we've got a few people that's already given us a quote." Angi Leads was, according to their website, was saying it was going to be $400. And so we were hoping that's what we could get it for. So it's like
Angi Leads is putting pricing.
They have articles online that they kind of give price ranges, and they're horribly off.
Right.
And so it's like not
No,
only
this isn't
did they send
2003.
not only did they send the lead way outside of the range that we had agreed on and set, and not only is it just a basic duct cleaning lead anyways, but they already then tell the person what the price is going to be, and if you're over that price, well then it's a waste of, like, you're setting the lead up for failure right out the gate. And in the same phone call, they decided, like, even at I didn't give them a price at all. I didn't give them any price. And I was still, like, again, I'm like, I just want to see what's going to happen. Like, I want to have some story to tell. I want to get to a house and do something, to have some information to come back with. And I set up a time 30 minutes before I start to head, before I leave, 30 minutes before I leave my house to go to the lead. I send them a text, hey, just letting you know I'm an hour and a half out. Is the whatever time it was, is that still a good time for you? And they write back, actually, no, we're not going to do it anymore. We don't really have the money, and we've decided we're just going to hold off. So it's like, again, this is what you're getting. And
Wow.
so all of that to say that so far, when the obvious question is, what is the return on investment when using Angi leads? I can say with certainty that of a
Negative.
a bank of 10 leads provided so far, it's not a 0% closing ratio. It is a 0%
opportunity
quoting ratio. Like, nothing's even been quoted. I've not even went out to a house. Well, I've went to one house and they didn't even come to the door. 2 to 4 of them are even questionable
Do
whether
they
or not
even
they were even
exist?
real leads.
Right.
So that is kind of what we have with Angi leads going in. And also another thing for people to worry about is when you sign up, here's what you need to, because you ask all the questions. Hey, how can here's the question to ask anything that you ever start to sign up with. Say, okay, what you're saying sounds great, and if I proceed, I'm assuming it's going to work out great. But let's say worst case scenario, it does the opposite of what you're saying. Let's say for some crazy reason you're a complete liar. If I want to quit, what happens? Well, Angi Leads knows that they're probably going to be having a very high turnover rate because they have a terrible service they provide. And if you look, it is a subscription that is locked in for 12 months. And if you want to quit, you have to pay an early termination fee, which is 35% of your remaining contract. So when you agree to this, keep that in mind, because if you're wanting to just start out on the very bottom end. So just so you know.
Yeah. And this tends to be what seems to be happening for Tanner.
Oh yeah.
Is the word of mouth and and commercial. Commercial is really based on his skill set. This commercial stuff is working out pretty well.
Yeah. Well, word of mouth makes enough money for me to spend it on this loss called Angi Leads, so I can do some testing and report back to everyone else and show you, hey, don't do this.
Don't do this.
Because there's been a lot of people to say, hey, don't do it, it's terrible, blah, blah, blah. But I feel like that
nobody's
doesn't really
ever
stick.
done the work, done the homework.
Yeah. I feel like if I can show it and I can go, okay, I know people say it's bad, but let me show you, like, let me show you the leads I'm getting, and let me explain each individual one of why none of them are working out and why it's bad. You can get a better understanding. So that way, when they call you and you've got, those slimy salesmen or wannabe salesmen that's trying to coerce you into signing up for their service, just remember all this stuff that I'm saying right here before you make your decision.
Hey guys, I'm gonna get.
Are you gonna get? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Reedy. Nice to see you, brother.
Yeah. See you guys later.
Reedy.
See you, Tanny.
So Jason says home warranty company work would be more profitable. Yeah, you get in the house,
Yeah. I
right?
mean, yeah, I guess so. I guess the only
Ben
thing,
Baptist does
yeah,
warranty.
he does.
Yes.
Oh wow,
And
that would,
he's been finding jobs through that process. And I think he uses free quote now on warranty instead of trying to pivot it to a comfort consult.
mhm.
But he has been, we should invite him to come next week, or I don't know if we're going to do this 2 weeks from now. It's sort of close to the holidays, so we might not do this until next year.
Yeah.
So what does Jason say? We have customers that came from American Home Shield calls 40 years ago. Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, once you have your clientele built up, then you're pretty much
Yeah.
all set. But when you're starting out trying to build that clientele,
Yeah. Really, I guess it would depend on the warranty service, like what their stipulations are, because I mean, I guess you could treat those calls as just sales calls in a sense.
right?
Go in knowing that whatever service that that home, American Home Shield is going to pay for, that the loss that you're going to have to do the work for is just the fee for the service call. So you could kind of restructure it in the sense and turn something of it. But again, it also comes down to like if the quality of leads have to be to a certain degree decent. Um, it's just, it's also tough because word of mouth is the it's the most valuable lead you can get.
Mhm.
There's nothing can compare. It's just,
Right.
you can't there's no way to dump money into word of mouth. I mean, the closest thing to it would be like affiliate marketing or something like that. You take
Right.
your current customer base, do a referral program, and pump money into it that way. But even then, that's not exactly easy. But
Mhm. Here's another.
Okay.
You have to demand. What is that?
Not to exceed.
Okay.
Yeah. So you have to. Okay. So you're telling them that they have to give you a do not exceed budget and
When you
make
go
sure
out
that
on
that's
right. That makes sense.
you are correct. Absolutely. It's definitely yeah.
This
Uh,
is yeah, Mitchell. This is paying your dues in the early stage to build up
yeah.
that service book.
Oh yeah. I mean,
I think the way you're doing it now, like today we were at that supply house with that
mhm.
nice fella, and um, just telling him you had a blower door. He's like, "Oh, we get calls for those periodically."
Yeah.
And I don't know who to tell him.
Yeah.
Give me some cards. Um,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Uh, I guess you just got to be willing to take chances.
Mhm. Oh yeah.
It's awesome that you signed up for this kind of suspecting that you weren't going to be surprised, but
Yeah.
actually, like, everybody says that they suck, but they don't really stand behind it.
Oh yeah.
I
Yep.
think you got
That
to
is
do make
true.
the phone ring. Well, your month is already made from a
Oh
couple of
yeah.
sales that you already had, so
Mhm. Oh yeah. Yeah, which is that's the nice thing with commercial and I guess the more industrial side is the customers you have is going to be reoccurring work. So it's like you get, you gain one customer and that's going to churn out, you can kind of expect a certain amount of work you're going to churn out from that. To where residential, like this system, like whenever I get this unit done, I mean, maybe they do a crawl space, and
Right.
after that, they're
Well,
not
and they
going to
said
need.
they'd like to put a little heat in their garage
Yeah, yeah,
because I think he wants to work on cars in that garage.
yeah. So it's like there's
He's
there's
got
only
that
so many
MG
things
that
you can do.
doesn't work, and
Mm-hmm.
he'd like to be able to drive it by next summer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, you were definitely right, Jason. I guess the real question honestly would be is where I think about it is if you're looking at Angi leads or whatever, do you take, like in this instance, I'm paying $280 a month. Would I not, I might be better off with taking that $280 and having that as a budget of just going like in the mornings, swing into a coffee shop or whatever and pay for the two people's orders behind me and throw them a business card. Like I
Right.
could do that a lot of times, and
You
that's
could do
probably
that a
going to
lot,
be more beneficial than giving these morons $280 a month.
and that would be a lot more fun too.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a great idea.
I guess that's where it's just one of those things that Angie leads and similar methods of lead generation is this, like it's sold on we do the work for you, you just give us money and you get it in return, which
And we just send you out to do work.
yeah, which if it were true, it'd be great. But you've always got to, anytime you're not having to do hard work for something that normally requires hard work, be suspicious.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because odds are it's just not going to be what they're making it to be. That's just
Mm-hmm.
how it is.
Yeah. What else should we talk about? We're through our hour, right?
Yep. We're at an hour and 22 now.
Anybody have any questions about HVAC 2.0
Or anything?
or anything?
Oh, hey Ben, what's up? Um, I have not. I wish we still had everybody else in here so I could ask them. Maybe Jason can chime in on if he's done this. Um, I know the way that y'all do it, it seems like that would be the way to go. I think y'all have done it well. Um, I have worked for a few apartment complexes that were one of many, but okay, we got someone else also chiming in on that.
Mitchell thinks that property management and multifamily are
Yeah.
sometimes worth it. When are they not worth it?
In the one that I've had experience with, it was a situation where the manager of the apartment complex was essentially, here's what they wanted: you to come out immediately and to be as cheap as possible. And as soon as they find somebody that's cheaper, in that as well. That was yes. That, I actually didn't even think about that. But that was another issue of taking forever to pay, and all it takes is one
Right.
person that'll do something $5 cheaper than you, and it felt reminiscent of new construction, but the same thing with new construction. If you work with a builder that is actually good, you find that good one, it works. But and I feel like Ben, what they do is probably something similar to where they have some good property managers where they've built a good relationship to where that property management isn't out looking for people to try to undercut them, because they value the relationship and the work done, not just finding the cheapest thing possible, which is what I feel like a lot of them tend to do.
Or pretending to do the work.
Yeah.
So this is interesting. How do you, I mean, I'm hearing all these horror stories about Airbnb equipment being horribly maintained. And so it seems like that might be an opportunity for folks that, you know, they have Airbnb and they just forget that, you know, maintaining their equipment periodically and changing filters.
Yeah. Nope. Oh,
Yeah.
I could see it, especially if you get the right one, because it really what it all comes down is whenever you're doing work for somebody, what is their specific pain points? And you know, it's easy to kind of get hung up with kind of thinking in the frame of mind that everyone should think as the homeowner. But as we all know, a homeowner is going to think differently than a property manager, than you know, a traditional landlord that's got rental apartments, rather than, you know, property management doing it, and versus like an Airbnb. You know, they're all going to kind of have their own things that they mostly worry about. Like Airbnb, uh, they probably worry more about downtime when someone's at the Airbnb. So, you know, there's things you could probably, oh yeah, I bet so. I bet so. But, you know, you could work something out with, say you have one person, there's this person that has a lot of Airbnbs, and go, hey, I know, you know, you're going to want me out at 7 p.m. on Saturdays. We're not actually open on Saturdays, but, you know, we'll set something up. Like we'll lock in a price, lock in kind of you know, with commercial jobs, they'll have like a service agreement type thing, you know, because what would help with some of those things is, you know, everyone knows the annoying thing is it's not necessarily having to go out at 7 p.m. on a Saturday. It's having to go out at 7 p.m. on a Saturday for a clogged drain because they wouldn't pay to do the maintenance. Like that's the real annoying thing.
Yeah, most Airbnb do not want it
Yep.
to break when they're getting lots of money for the daily rental. So you'd have to lean into
Yeah.
hey, you know, maintenance isn't just trying to avoid it breaking down. It's
Oh
also
yeah.
understanding when it's time to replace preemptively
Mm-hmm.
or even like make a repair preemptively. And you were going to do that. You were going to build that into your service routine where you were going to have a couple of different levels of service. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that contactor, you probably get another year or two out of it, or I could replace it now.
Yeah. Yeah. Offering in those preventative things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's the same thing like with offering equipment options. If you only give them one option, they're only ever going to take that one option. But if you give them
Right.
3 options, you're going to sell some of that top end option. You're going to sell a lot of that middle of the road option, and you're not
Right.
going to
And then
sell.
and if they take the bottom option, then they're not upset. Or
Hmm.
maybe they are upset when it
Yeah.
breaks, but they can't be upset with you. You could say, so you remember when I talked to you about these other things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well, it puts
and
into
and you chose
context what's
and you
going on.
yeah, and you chose to, you know, do the limp along path instead of the let's get it sorted now before we get into busy season so we don't lose any bookings.
Yes.
And then this one is just, you know, with the new equipment and the ECM blower motors and just not having it all be single stage because they're cheap. Um, I think so long as, particularly when you're offering a replacement, saying to them, look, if you want this to be comfortable in here, because people are going to be pissed if it's not comfortable, you're going to have to spend a little bit more money and get better equipment. You can't
Hmm.
just get the cheapest thing. You gotta, you know, maybe step up and get 2-stage or 5-stage.
Yeah. Which again, you get into that realm though, it's like everybody's seeing every additional dollar is a dollar taken away off the bottom line. And
Right.
so
Yeah,
that's,
I guess you have to ask them if they've been burned.
yeah. So,
So
and
these are the things you would ask them about. Do people complain about the place not being able to maintain a comfortable temperature and a
mhm.
comfortable relative humidity? Do you people complaining that there are bad smells? because you don't have fresh air, makeup air.
Oh yeah.
So, yeah, those are good things to think about if you run across an Airbnb. I don't know how you would advertise to hosts. You advertise on Airbnb? Is that
my guess is it's probably more like you start working for one person that has a lot of Airbnbs. That
right?
person knows other people. They refer, and it kind of just a word of mouth referral is what I imagine.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'd work on weekends.
Maybe if they're a member,
Right.
it's open. If they're not a member, no.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And that's and the positive to it is it's a mechanism for leaning into the referrals as well. Like that was the whole problem with referrals. You can't throw money into it. Well, um, if you have a way of kind of not infiltrating, but like getting into that network of people that all know one another, because if the only thing more annoying than having to pay money to fix something that's broke is to not be able to find somebody to fix the thing that needs to be fixed and where you need to spend money because it's broke. So, if you can be the dependable person that everyone kind of refers you, well, it doesn't take much. Like the sales call that we went on,
Oh,
and
those
how,
people were so happy you showed up.
yeah, they were just
Well,
like,
like
wow, you showed
we
up. That's
called
crazy.
3 people to come talk to us about this problem, and we had 3 appointments, and nobody showed up to the appointment.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could do Airbnbs and tell them they have to be members. That'd be fine. What's BNI?
That's what I was about to ask. What is BNI?
Jason sounds like Jason is got some Airbnb clients. Jason again has such a established 50-year business or whatever.
I mean, that definitely helps.
Business, networking, internet.
Okay. Oh, I know what you're talking about. I would be lying if I said I knew, honestly. There's there's several business networking things that I am slacking on that I need to do. So,
You need to get a magnet with a blower door on it.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, that definitely sounds like especially if you offer a service that not everybody offers, like blower door testing, that sort of thing. Yeah, I need to get on that.
Duct performance testing. I mean, those people were happy to pay for that measure quick.
Yeah.
And the sales process leads into, hey, we can get a better understanding of what's going on with your system if you're willing to pay for this service.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, how much would that be? Oh, of course, let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
We knew that he was going to say yes because you actually showed up.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Yeah, I guess I've kind of been just leaning into some of those referrals.
Yeah, you jumped on the
Yeah.
Saturday call.
Yeah, using
And they were a long way out too.
yeah,
But they
yeah.
were a referral and they were nice people and
Yeah,
they were.
I knew they were going to be a strong referral because of who they came from, which is why I drove that far out.
Right. She was also a situation where she tried to solve the problem a bunch of times, and you were the only one that was able to do it for her.
Yeah, well, she never necessarily tried per se to solve, like they didn't take an action trying to solve anything. It was pretty much a new house where there was problems, and she went back to the person who installed it, who she worked for, and was like, "Hey, why does my house do this?" And she was just basically told multiple times of just like, "That's just how it is. Oh, it just does that."
Oh.
And you can only be told that so many times and be uncomfortable so much to be like, really?
Yeah.
Is that really
I
how
don't
it is?
believe you. Really?
Yeah. And so then I went and fixed it, and she was like, wow, it just like I thought, it can be fixed. And so ever since then, they just refer the hell out of me, which is great.
That is nice. Ben,
That's
do
nice.
you have a blower door?
He does not.
Okay.
He is in Orlando.
Okay. Measure quick.
Okay. Oh yeah. You're right about that. Honestly, I, c- I could I could make some door hangers and flyers, and I could go door to door in Gunnersville and probably do, well, I mean, hell, you just do one, you just convert one, and you're already doing astronomically better than what Angi Leads is, but I'm pretty sure I could outperform all of them that way.
So Ben, are you using Measure Quick at your sales calls?
um,
We lost him.
well, yeah, well, I'm sure it's a slow
Well, because
process of it coming through and all that kind of stuff.
Jason
But
Cecil, ended up using that whole checking static pressure and then
yeah,
sizing to the ductwork. And Measure Quick has those nice reports now. Okay. And so you can do Measure Quick and True Flow,
yeah,
and you can help the homeowner understand the capacity that they're getting is not the capacity of the equipment they bought. Or,
hmm
and with the new equipment, you can't mismatch anymore.
yeah,
And that really makes that conversation the guys are having, Tanner's having, Ronnie's having, Reedy's having those conversations. Like, can't do that with the new equipment. But the bad news is your 4-ton is delivering 2.5 ton of capacity. The good news is you weren't all that uncomfortable, so 2.5 ton probably going to be okay.
yeah.
And if you want to go further and make sure that it's going to be okay, we can do other testing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, he is. He's still working with that supply house, and I think he's learning a lot. He's a little frustrated by the problems that he's seeing these contractors have, and that they're all just swapping boxes. So they don't really even have a process for offering people better equipment. Their approach to selling is, hopefully I'll be the cheapest solution.
hmm
As opposed to like these people that from Saturday's sale, they wouldn't have known any better.
Oh yeah.
They would have bought another package unit.
Yep. And
You know?
and it just goes to show, like, when we were talking to
Show them
them,
the 4-minute
they
video.
yeah. Well, like, I mean, the real reason why when they were calling people to say, "Hey, come fix my problem," and they were having no call, no shows, or they were being told that no, they don't want to do it, is because the contractor was going, it's probably just some duct modification. I don't really know how to fix it. Like they're thinking that it's something
I'm not
simple,
really
and
sure I know how to fix it. It's going to be a
yeah,
$1,500 project, and I'm going to have to get called out there 4 or 5 times because it didn't solve their problem. They're going to be unhappy with me.
yeah. And the reason they were doing that is because they made the decision for the homeowner before the
They
homeowner
didn't
got
even
the
go
chance.
out and have the conversation with them. Yeah.
And then you just give them the option, because I didn't even bring up replacing the whole system. I
Right.
was saying like, hey, when you do this in the future, this could be a something to look out for. And I know you're not going to do it right now, so I just want to let you know. And so they were the
Yes,
ones
we'll
that were
do
like,
this
well, how about
structural.
how about replace the whole thing? How about give me the best thing you got? And and just from offering and asking questions, all those people skipped out and lost something that they could have got.
They
But
lost a $35,000 job.
yeah, yeah. But that's just how this kind of work really is. There is a low bar of entry. Well, and it might be Alabama might be more specific for that because of the lack of requirements needed in order to do it. I'm sure there's some states where even Florida is more stringent and more difficult to get a license and to be able to actually legally do the work. Uh,
Okay.
Alabama's not no license like some states, because I think like Pennsylvania, there's not even a requirement for having a license, but it's still a pretty low barrier of entry.
Mhm.
Especially like where we were at, we were kind of out. Like that's not a metropolitan area. Like people's not pulling permits there. So like anybody can do the job there, but because of that barrier of entry, everyone kind of does it, and so everybody stays at that same low level. They don't ever get any higher because they're not forced to.
Yeah. Oh. We're fighting over that.
We keep hitting it. Yeah. And I mean, really, I guess I say that it's probably like the same statement of like, you don't understand, my area is different. It's really everywhere,
It
honestly.
really,
Uh,
I think it's the same. We're hearing these same stories in
yeah,
lots of states.
yeah,
And Jason understands that because he's done years of home performance, and he's got blower doors and duct blasters that he no longer pulls out of the closet. And Chuck in the truck does know no state lines.
yeah.
Yeah,
You're right about that.
when Jason was doing these jobs, he'd pull the house up and get the details on the house, and then he'd go to the permit, because all that stuff, if you pull a permit, I guess it's all public. So if he
Hmm.
didn't make a sale, he'd go back and see who pulled the permit and how much the job was for and all that sort of thing. It was pretty interesting. He's quite the sleuth.
Oh, well,
Well, we've gone well past.
yeah,
Thank you all for showing up and asking questions. And
yep. It was a good one,
yeah,
and we'll
we'll let
continue
you
on.
know if we're going to be here in 2 weeks. I guess it'll depend on the other guys,
Yeah,
PD, and
I feel like odds are it'll probably be next year. I
probably
think
be next year. So
I think it'll be what, January, was it the 6th was the next Monday? Yeah.
January 6th. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a good chance that might be when it is. We probably won't be storming any capitals, but we might be talking more crap about Angi leads.
So the only other thing I wanted to mention is I did pull up a video on the and it's in our channel. I made it public recently. That talks about the Comfort Consult overview. And I think actually, let's see. Yeah, so why don't we finish up on this?
Okay.
We get it playing in here. Stop. Let me share it. Sorry, this is clues, you guys. Share screen. So after the 2 videos, you might also
You've taken the comfort quiz, and hopefully you've watched the duct pressure and now you're curious what a comfort consult is and why one was or was not recommended to you. The HVAC 2.0 Comfort Consult is designed to figure out what the root causes are to the problems that you'd like to solve in your home, and then to see if there's a viable path forward to either solve or blunt those problems. We consistently find that right-sized variable speed HVAC, or heating and cooling, can blunt or solve many client problems. The Comfort Consult helps determine if yours is one of those homes, and then what size and type of HVAC is best for you. Now, to do this, we need to understand what your goals are, what your house needs, and what the budget might be for a project like this. Those 3 together largely determine if there's a viable project or not. Now, HVAC sizing is heavily determined by how leaky your home is. This is measured with a tool called a blower door, which fits in your front door frame. It can also see if you've got one room that's way leakier than others, where HVAC alone is unlikely to solve problems, in which case further planning would be suggested. The Comfort Consult itself takes 3 to 4 hours, and it's really best if both decision makers are there. No solutions will be discussed. This is a fact-finding mission, but we really want to be sure to get both of your input. We've consistently found that when we sleep on individual situations, we change our minds as to what the best thing is to do. So that's why it's really best not to discuss solutions that day. Afterwards, you'll be sent a report that lays out possible paths forward, along with approximate costs and odds of success. Your HVAC 2.0 contractor will set up a follow-up meeting so that you can hone in on exactly what you want to do, and then they'll provide you a bid for that. Now it's time to decide if a Comfort Consult is the best path for you, or if a free quote is adequate. Either's fine. Whatever you decide, your HVAC 2.0 contractor will be there to help you understand your options, whether you choose a Comfort Consult or a free quote. Thanks again, and good luck with your project.
So that's pretty good. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, guys. And thanks for coming.
Yeah. Thanks for coming. Catch you on the next one.
Welcome, everyone, to the HVAC 2.0 show. I'm Nate Adams, the CEO.